just give us just a few more seconds. We're just getting some stuff set up on our end, and then once we're ready, we'll be good to go. All right, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Xbox Talks. This is number 26 for us. We passed the 25 episode, I guess, last week. Hope you all had fun. If you guys don't know what this is, Xbox Talks, this is a podcast for you guys, the Xbox Series X community, exclusively for you guys. So we just go around, talk about Xbox stuff. We bring you guys up to talk as well. This show is yours as much as it is ours. So please, if you guys want, hit that hand raise button. We will try and get to everybody in a timely manner. That said, if you do come up, kind of just, make some space for other people. They want to come up and enjoy this as well. So let's do our round of introductions. We have Jay Foreman.
Hey, happy to be back for another week of Xbox news. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer so far, and hello.
We have Ivan Grimprovise.
How's it going, everyone?
And Mikey.
Hello.
Awesome. And myself, Korkenstein. Let's go around and see what we're playing. What have you guys been playing?
I've been playing. This is kind of a weird situation for me. I buy games, and I know that I'm going to get to them eventually, and this is definitely one of those titles. So, Rogue Legacy 2, which I know some people have gone as far as to say it's going to be their game of the year, or it was their game of the year, I should say. And I kind of agree. The mechanics are so pure. It's one of those games that, it's not anything that's going to jump off the screen at you if you're just looking at screenshots. But once you play it, you understand that it's a great take on Metroidvania and roguelike kind of gameplay. And, if you played Rogue Legacy 1, you're definitely going to enjoy this if you enjoyed that. It's that and expanded in so many wonderful ways. And I played it on and off, and this is the week where it's really got me. And now it's just nonstop from here on out. I'll be playing this for probably a week or two, and hopefully I can get through it in that amount of time. I really don't need to put any praise or talk it up. The reviews are great, and if you want to learn more about it, it's worth checking out, and highly recommended. It's worth playing. It really is.
Ivan?
Well, I've been playing with my deck mostly because 2 weeks ago I got the Steam Deck, and it's been pretty awesome.
Ooh, you fancy.
Yeah. Mostly just been playing Monster Hunter Rise a lot, because they just came out with that DLC. So pretty much rushed to Master Rank. Now I'm starting to see the shortcomings of rushing because I'm going against Barrett, who likes to coat himself in rocks and stuff. And I'm waiting for, teammates to get their rocks off so I can start hitting it again. It's just good time. I really like Monster Hunter. So
I was gonna say phrasing on that last part. Mikey, let's just move on. Mikey.
Well, he's been playing a lot of Xbox too. Him and his 20,000 gamer score last month.
I knew this was coming.
Here it is.
That was a perfect opportunity. I won't say much, but just if you listened last week, there's a lot of 5,000 gamer score games out there that me and Grim played this month, and we had a little competition.
We should recap this. Yes, please let us know how it went.
If people want to know, it's Butterfly. There's games like Synchro Hedgehogs, Butterfly 1 and 2. All these can be doubled up, by the way, on Windows and Xbox. And you can buy 6 games for like a $20 pack, and it comes with 40. Maybe not 40. Maybe it is 40,000 worth of achievement score. And they keep adding to it up to 5,000, like twice a year or something. So if a game only has 3,000 to start, it will get a 5,000 update. So it's kind of insane. It's this little studio in Ukraine. So they have been dealing with the war. But once I learned that, I felt even better supporting them. I just learned that this week. Anyways, the game I've been legitimately playing, though, last week I said I was going to beat Guardians of the Galaxy, and I went out and I did it. 100%ed it, and it's my game of the year for 2021. Absolutely incredible game. If people haven't even played it yet, do it. Like I told everybody else in the chat, it's the only game where I've cried and laughed multiple times throughout. It's an incredible game.
It definitely was one of my top games last year as well. It's just so well done. It's such a big, which is surprising because I remember we brought it up before where it's like Square Enix was like, we're not seeing returns on some of these games, but I don't see how they could not have seen it at least on Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a Game of the Year contender, and I think a few people did. I think it won. I want to say IGN's Game of the Year, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did remember it did win a few awards, rightfully so. For
Yeah,
me,
it wasn't even
oh, go ahead.
nominated for the Game Awards show, which is a travesty. One narrative Game of the Year for them, but it wasn't even. Honestly, it should have. And I love Forza. Should have replaced Forza's nominee. It was an incredible game.
It seemed like one of those games where maybe like it didn't get a huge hype wave, right? It's just been kind of a slow, steady burn. Like, and it seems like every week, maybe like a few more people discover it and they realize that what a fantastic title it is. But it just didn't come out like Elden Rings and everybody's talking about it. It's that game that everybody's playing. It was more of a thing where like you'd be or like looking around on different forums and some subreddits, and you'd see comments. People are like, well, if you'd like that, you should really check out Guardians of the Galaxy. And then like it was just one of those word of mouth builders, and I love that. I think it turned into a success. I know there's a lot of people pulling for a sequel, so I hope that's something that we see come out of all this. Everybody loves it. Like obviously not everybody, but it seems like everybody loves it.
I kind of wonder if it has like because it was like a very word of mouth sort of thing where like more people kept talking about it, more people decided to check it out. I kind of wonder if it's like that, the licensed game curse where like you see a licensed game and you're like, oh, maybe not. I don't know about that one. People are just, they still hold those like I guess those memories of like really bad licensed games.
Yeah, it was on the heels of the Avengers, right? And that game certainly had mixed reception, to put it mildly.
Yeah. Such a classic game. Especially, it has so much replayability, which I don't think a lot of people realize. Is that me and Mikey were kind of talking a little bit about it? Is that you can play multiple scenes and they have different audio dialogues, or slightly different. I don't think it's like completely different, but I think how you do certain interactions will be different multiple times that you play, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, and your choices reflect in the end game. I won't say what that is, but just some of the characters are great too. If you guys love Dave Bautista in Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the guy who does Drax in the video game, on par.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic job. Giving it a little bit more of a serious tone. It's great. I can't stop praising it. I could talk for the whole hour about the game. It was so good.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. It's such a great game. Well, we could move on to the. I've been playing Naraka. I don't know if anybody else. I know there's probably going to be somebody that's like, that's not how you say it, weeb. But that's how I've been playing. The Naraka.
As the king of mispronunciation, no, as the king of mispronunciation, I totally I look at words and I try to put them out there and I butcher everything. My kids have to teach me how to say everything, so it's ramen noodles, not ramen, in case anyone was wondering. But please go ahead.
No, yeah, it's such a fun game. Like, it's a really cool battle royale. I know it's kind of the new thing. A lot of people are learning, but me and my buddies, we've been having like a total fun with it. Not sure if anybody else got a chance. I think Jay, you said no. Mikey, Grim, have you had a chance to try it out?
It's downloaded, but because I promised that I was going to do Guardians, I spent 26 hours on that. So
you are a man of dedication. I do.
Yes.
I know you were kind of joking about it last week, and I'm like, I wonder if he's going to do it. And tonight before the show, we have a little chat in Discord, and sure enough, a little image pops up, and Mikey's just like, 1,000 points. Not just beating Marvel or Guardians. He totally wiped out the achievements too. So I wish Anthony was here tonight so we could razz him a little bit, but we'll get him in the future.
That's the whole. Today I had 6 chapters left, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it just for the memes. And then he's not here tonight. I was bummed.
Oh, that's awesome. I totally missed last week's episode. But so you guys had like another competition with Moko as well, or?
Well, no, Moko was just talking about how, Anthony's been, Anthony or Moko, I guess, has been on the podcast quite a few times, and he's just like, I've been playing Guardians, and he's just kind of working his way through it, and Mikey was just like, well, I think Anthony was giving him some grief about the these butterfly game, like the easy achievement games and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And Mikey was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put this to bed, and he just kind of dunked on him a little bit, but all in good fun, of course. But he just went back and cleared out the game that Anthony's been working on for weeks and weeks. So I thought it was.
And I also
funny.
finished up Rage 2, which was an good game, awful experience achievement wise, because I had to replay the DLC 3 times before the final mission popped for me, the achievement. So that took a good chunk of time. That was like 10 hours trying to get the last achievement on my third run.
Oh man, I think the last game I tried to 1,000 point was actually classic Final Fantasy VII, and there's one achievement in there that's a real pain in the ass, and I ended up just giving up on it. You're supposed to make 2 characters, Barrett and Cloud, go on a date about midway through the game, and there's like these 32 events where you have to make the exact right decision to make this happen. I followed the guide,
yeah.
thought
Oh
I
my
did
God.
it. I got there, and he goes out with Tifa or one of the other characters, and I'm just like, you know what? 970 out of 1,000, yeah, called it good.
Yeah, because it's fairly like into the late game. Well, at least on the remake, it's kind of somewhat. Or do they have that one yet on the remake? I remember playing it. I remember it was
wish
like
I
the
knew.
second disc or the third disc or something like that. But yeah, you had to play quite a ways to get that that achievement in the classic one.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a mid-game thing for sure. So it was pretty deep into it. Like it'd probably take 20 hours maybe just to cut through
Yeah.
there, even like speed running or trying to.
Awesome. Well, you guys want to start on the news for today? I think, Mikey, do you want to start off, or do you want to save the Starfield leaks for last?
Oh, we can save them. We can see
Okay.
how much time we have, because I can rattle a list. So
I do want to get into that because I haven't heard about them, so you can kind of fill me in on it too when you give us the rundown on them. I know one thing I did see was that Fall Guys is really resurgent with the free-to-play release. 20 million players, and it seems to be very active on Xbox. So I have finally had the opportunity to play the game, see what it's about, and yeah, it's fun. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I had the kids at home with me, and we all were doing different runs, and we just had a goofy, silly time. So I am happy to see that. Deservedly, I think, finding an even bigger audience than it previously had. It probably should have been free to play to begin with, don't you guys think?
Yeah, I remember it was like a PlayStation Plus game when it first dropped, like day one. It was PlayStation Plus. You had to buy it on Steam because I bought it on Steam. Yeah, and I think it could have easily been the free-to-play model, especially since like even at launch, like back then, they had pretty decent like battle passes and like unlocks. I mean, it's even better now. The new season that they rolled out looks to be really nice, and they also have had tons of collabs since then. But it's like even for something that could have been free to play, I think they would have had probably like the easiest transition if they wanted to make this sooner.
Yeah, the thing that really hurt them the most was Among Us. And yeah, Among Us came out, like 2 years, 3 years before Fall Guys. But then, I mean, if you look at the Steam numbers, man, it got obliterated. Like it started off like for like a good like 2-3 weeks. And then it just like Among Us like got a resurgence, and you just see it crash hard. And then, yeah, and then it's slowly starting to come back up. So I think it's actually kind of good they waited a little bit to bring it to Xbox, because now you're seeing this resurgence of where it should have been on launch.
Yeah, I actually forgot about the Among Us coming out about the same time, and that obviously was all the rage. The viral game. There's always a viral darling, right? There's always this game that everybody's hearing about and picking up, and kind of the buzz game. So it did completely just overshadow Fall Guys at that time. So they stuck with it though, and had enough of a player base, and now they're back doing really good numbers. A very successful game. So good for them.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
I must be a unicorn, because I bought it for $20 on Steam and never got the other one. Why did I just forget the name of the game?
Among Us?
Among Us.
Yes. I forgot it. Even though all my friends were like, "We're gonna go play Among Us. You want to join us?" No, game looks stupid. Never got into it.
I mean, it was a social game, and there's been other games like Among Us in the past. They just put a little bit of a different spin on it. Towns of Salem, or I forget the name of these other games, but
I love Town of Salem.
Yeah, there you go. Really, I kind of felt like it was like that, where you're trying to find the traitors and using your intuition to figure out who's who. So just kind of a fun little game. But I never really played Among Us that much either. My kids were into it, but I was like, I didn't. I watched him play it, and I was like, just not for me. But Fall Guys, I had a great time with. But I'm sure there's somebody else out there who had the exact opposite experience. So that's how it goes with these things.
Both of you are sus right now. Never played.
Oh my! See, look at
Sus.
Yeah.
Where's the report button?
Oh God.
I played a lot of Among Us with friends. I mean, it was a great COVID game. Because like you could play it without having to be with other people. It was fun. It was interactive. It kind of grew its own, like I said, like meta and its own language, like sus and everything. It was just, I don't know. It was a fun game. I really enjoyed it. I was the opposite. I never got into Fall Guys because I think it was like, you had to pay for it. And then it was like a PS Plus or something like that. So I was like, well, I don't really play on my PlayStation. I'd rather play it on Xbox. And then it never really took off for me, but I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, and like I said, for me, it's the perfect kind of game where you're playing something real sweaty and intense, and you just need a little break. And it can be like a kind of intense in its own fun way, but it's just a nice little 10-minute game, or that you can get in and get out. So Xbox would probably call it snack-sized if they wanted to label it. So there's room for those kind of games in everybody's library. I think we can probably turn the subject over now. Let's get into this, Mikey. Are you ready to kind of discuss these Starfield leaks with us? And fill me in, man, because I'm completely blank on this. I kind of had a busy real life week.
Sure. So basically, the leaks have been known. What it is that a leaker has been kind of listing things for the last 4 years, since 2018. And since the reveal, now it's, well, what else was on his list? So people have been looking back at that, because things that he got right, basically he didn't say anything wrong. First of all, that was confirmed otherwise by the trailer. Like, he talked about the fact that there was going to be ladders. Those have been in it. He was talking about space combat. Everything to do with space combat he nailed. He said that you were not going to be able to fly in and out to the planet, that it would be a pseudo loading screen. He called the settlement system. Some of these were fairly obvious, but some of these were also like, well, why would you name the ladder and know about that? You wouldn't say
Right.
that there's going to be a ladder in the game when there hasn't been in these games forever, and now's the time to. It just seemed like kind of the polish on top of everything. This guy, he claimed to be a developer, so he had listed all these things and talked about them. What are some other ones? Ladders. I just read that one.
Yeah, but basically he's been spot on, is what you're saying, right? Like,
yes.
Like,
he also said something about flight. If you listen to interviews with Todd Howard has talked about the fact that flight was the first thing they worked on, or one of the first things we worked on. And in 2018, this guy said gameplay for flight is top priority and getting to work bug-free. He said that 4 years ago. So other things that he's since mentioned, and if you don't want spoilers, let's maybe
plug
don't
your
listen.
ears.
It's no spoilers related to the story, by the way. This guy has not listed anything like that, and he's been very adamant about saying so.
That's what I was about to ask next, or see if we should put it for story. I was like, I may kind of mute myself out if it's the story, but no, that's good if it's just
Kevin
gameplay
just jumps
stuff.
off frame.
Yeah. So
Go
one
ahead.
small one for me that might be fun, might not be fun. Havoc was removed, which Havoc was the initial physics engine that games like Skyrim use. I don't know if you guys ever got hit by a giant and got killed and launched 400 feet in the air. That experience is now gone.
Okay.
Because they totally removed that, which what I've heard is that's the reason that you couldn't change your FOV. Was based on that physics engine, was based on Havoc, because Havoc was so old and was baked into their engine that they couldn't create an FOV slider and pull it out. That's why you got so many weird glitches when you did your FOV in your game settings, if you're on PC and stuff for Fallout and Skyrim and all that. And it just wasn't recommended, especially going beyond 60 frames a second. That also broke physics. So that's been removed. So good news for people that cared about that stuff, including me. One of the other things is ID Studios apparently was working with them on gunplay. Choose to believe that whether or not, because you look at the guns, you could say, well, they could have a little bit more meaty weight to them. But the first thing I noticed when watching the Starfield trailer was that guns looked far better. in terms of how they fired. The only thing that didn't really catch me was the laser guns, but then again, I don't know how a laser gun fires. Does it have recoil? Maybe not, because it shoots a beam of light.
That's a
Cruise,
fair question.
And if you guys want to talk about any of these, let me know. Crew. So he says that crew can help man weapons on your ship. They can perform repairs on the ship. They can fly, so you're not the only person that needs to fly. They also talked about that they can come down to the ground with you, that they will help generate once the settlement's set up, that they'll come down and they'll actually help generate things within the settlement, potentially. So it won't just be you only setting it up. They will set up potential trade outposts. So you put up a platform for trading, they will set up those outposts for trading, and NPCs will come in and out and do that as in a lifelike system. You don't have to set that up. Your NPCs do that.
That sounds really cool, man. One of the things I really liked about Fallout 4 was the settlement system that they had. So it sounds like maybe they are building on that a little bit. And I know some people thought that was kind of a distraction from what they wanted from Fallout, but I thought it was a great add to the game. I built my town and put my turrets up, and I had individual people working trade stations. This sounds like it might be kind of similar to that, and that was a good time. So that's good to hear that's coming.
And something like that, one of the best mods for Fallout 4 was it was a lifelike settlement. The settlers would actually build out on their own. They would create these structures by themselves and set up trade outposts and all that. So it's good to see that hopefully they're doing something like that. There might be a potential augmentation system. And I mean that in the sense of, like, you lose an arm during battle, you have a metal arm. Now, we didn't see any of that in the trailer. We didn't see that in anyone, actually. But apparently, Todd Howard was inspired by Chris Roberts' The Death of a Spaceman, which, if the player dies in that game, there's consequences, like you lose limbs and all this other stuff. So there might be something akin to that within the game. You could show scarring, or other people could, like your companions in that. Think Nemesis system style, maybe. Who knows? So that's been put out there. There might be something cool, like an alternate start. I don't know if some of that was scrapped. I've looked at some of the background traits you can have within the game. Some of the things that they've revealed so far, and I know one of them, someone getting arrested.
It's Kevin again. Sorry. He's always on the run from the law, man.
Okay. Sorry. I'm like, is it because I'm leaking this stuff right now? Are the police coming?
But
yeah, better check your door.
I forgot I had the window open. My bad. Sorry, guys.
I'd get a kick out of it.
So the alternate start. So one of them in the game was that your parents are alive, and you can visit them. That was something that was there. If you paid attention, you could select it as a background trait, but the only problem was that 10% of your income went to them.
Yeah, I saw that.
Pretty steep to have my virtual parents alive, but we'll see. I might do it myself just because, if it's worth it, it's worth it, especially for the experience. So there might be more stuff like that.
Yeah. That's some great handcrafted stuff too that they could easily do, like go visit your parents, help them like fix up their houses and stuff like that, or do quests for them. Things like little minute things that would really add to the depth of your character that doesn't require a lot, that isn't already in any Skyrim Fallout game for quests.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fixing up your houses, no, I'm kidding. We'll get to that later.
They also talk about that you can command large ships. And he used the term pretty large ships. So we saw, we saw more of a singular, it seemed, experience for the player, where it was just kind of him and the robot when they first got out. But then they talked about crews, and they expand out to this large crew set. There's also been leaked screenshots, or I can't remember if this is actually in the trailer, that showed that there was a floor up and down button. So this leads people, including this leak, to suggest that you can build bigger ships with multiple floors and expanded crews. Because they talked about your crew, and they showed a big expansive crew of like 8 people. So it would make sense that the ship's bigger. So it's not just those tinky tiny ships that you're used to seeing in maybe Elite Dangerous, or No Man's Sky. It's larger ships. So that's got me excited. If even half of these land, it would be great. If half of these turn out to be that they were thrown out because they couldn't get them in, but half of them turn out to be true, like this just gets me more and more excited for the game. There's just tons of little things like this that they were leaking that has made me hate the fact that I have to wait maybe a year for this game still.
Oh, I know it. It is too. I mean, I've kind of been saying this the last few weeks now, ever since we got the news of the delay, and it's kind of settling in and looking at my gaming future. Is that being like too intense with this kind of stuff? Just like, what am I going to be doing for the next year? And in that next year, like I said, I've been playing some of these smaller titles, but I'm keeping up on the news, and every little tidbit that I get about Starfield, it just sounds like it's deeper, and like I just learned a lot of stuff from what you just shared, and I'm more excited about it now, like you said, and I know that the wait is going to be worth it, and I know there's reason for it, but I'm ready to dedicate like 6 months of my life to this game, and then probably take a break and come back and give it 6 months again and again and again. It feels like it's going to be one of those kind of games. So wow, that sounds fantastic.
And just to add to that replay value, because you reminded me of one other thing that stuck out in my mind, I forgot to write down. Procedural generation includes potentially quests, cave areas, smaller cities, settlements, outposts, all that throughout the 1,000 planets. There are still going to be barren planets according to the leaker, but there are going to be things that feel absolutely incredible that were procedurally generated according to him. Things that, like, you'll go into a city that they didn't even touch. Think like, don't think Minecraft procedurally generated village where the door is like in the ground. Who knows? It's a Bethesda game. We'll find out.
Yeah. Very fair.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, oh, you're shooting yourself in the foot with that one.
It's part of their charm.
but they've apparently really fleshed this system out. It's not just to generate planets. It's a huge undertaking that they've perfected over the last few years, and it's supposed to be like hugely helpful to the experience, and just a bunch of optional content.
Wow. Gosh, it just sounds like I've been said this a few times before too. When I first heard about Starfield, I was like, well, I just want it to be Fallout in space, and I know that there's going to be a lot of differences, but it really does sound like it's Fallout in space on so many levels, and the space combat is definitely one of those differences. Some of the stuff you're describing with the ship and the crews, and like you said, having like multiple crew members, like that's going to be my family, man. We're going to be spending a lot of time together, so I'm excited to meet them.
Yeah. And for anybody that wants to look at the full list, you can go down in the link. I just linked it. I'm also gonna sticky it for now. Go and check it out, and they also have timestamps and everything. And I think they have proof back to when he leaked this. Yes, he did. So
Yeah.
all that's there. You can verify it. If this guy was guessing, holy, I
Right.
can't believe he got that much right.
Yeah,
So,
he needs to go out and buy a lottery
Yeah.
ticket too, right? That's pretty big news, man. So I'm gonna go through that later. Thanks for sharing that, and I can't wait to catch up.
Yeah, that was like, there's so much that this game has already, and I'm like super excited. So it kind of makes sense why the delay happened. Like, especially when we're hearing all this, we're seeing more stuff comes out about it. Do you guys feel that the delay's justified then? I know a lot of people were like, they shouldn't delay it, and they got angry about it. But hearing more and more about it, it sounds like, hey, this is something pretty that we've never really seen or experienced in the Bethesda game before. Let's give it some time to grow. Do you guys think it's justifiable for the delay?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just to iron out the procedural generated stuff, like, because, we're talking about going over thousands of planets, and now, Mikey brought up, like, oh, there's going to be villages and stuff. It's like, I can't imagine them getting that right, off the bat. They want to make sure that that's solid, because I think, especially when it comes to, like, a Bethesda game, people always go off the beaten path. So, like, I could picture in the first 48 hours, if that's not, I guess, super tight, people are going to be like, oh, look at this planet, refund or whatever. And getting all like worked up, but it's like, I mean, that's probably still gonna happen. Like, you're still gonna get some probably random planets, but this delay might help prevent, maybe 40% of it.
And it was said in that leak too that artists went through a lot of that, a lot of content, or they are, as much as they can to touch up things. So it's, no wonder, because if the leaks are to be assumed true, including these and including what we've heard about the development process, that they've been polishing this since the end of 2021, no wonder that they've been spending so much time polishing, because there is so much that could potentially go wrong. But if they pull it off, there is so much that could go right.
Well, I think we're all excited for Starfield, and I hope that we keep getting leaks and tidbits of news. Nothing that's going to ruin the game for anyone, but just learning more about the different classes and the different traits. And, there's so much more information out there that obviously we can learn and help us get prepared. I've said this before, too. This is one of those games where I'm going to plan my character. Like, I'm going to look at the different classes. I'm going to make some choices before the game comes out, and that to me shows, I don't do that very often. That shows how much hype I have for this game, and I'm so excited to learn more so I can make these decisions. I'm ready.
My body is ready.
My wallet's ready, everything. I mean, I guess my wallet doesn't need to be ready because I have Game Pass, so that's amazing.
Now, here's a question. Are you guys going to pre-order it? Like, for if there's like special bonuses? I know we get it through Game Pass, but is this something that you guys might pre-order?
Are they going to advertise the canvas bag again? I don't know if everybody remembers that one.
Yeah.
Fallout 76.
Yeah, I got the helmet behind me, so.
Oh man, wasn't there? There was a big controversy around that, right? Like, wasn't there like the helmet wasn't up to quality or something? Or does anybody remember?
The helmet was fantastic. It was the bag. They had advertised the canvas bag, and I got this plastic thing that you could return and get a canvas one, but I never bothered. I kept the OG. But there's stuff like that. If they have like a helmet or like a spaceship collectible or stuff like that, I eat that stuff up. I mean, you can see my desk, and that's just the stuff I choose to put there. So
that would be cool if they had like a little build your own spaceship set, like like the little like paper, not paper, but like what I mean, like a little small one. It doesn't have to be something big, but I think that would be kind of cool.
I'd be pretty much down with anything. A first release of a game like this, we might see Starfield 2 at Bethesda speed in 2030 or something, but getting in on the first iteration of what could potentially be a long-standing franchise, that's a reason for me to get in on the collectibles. I love that stuff, and if the game somehow flops, I don't think that's possible, but knock on wood just in case, then I guess I have some junk, but I have a feeling that this is going to be some stuff worth holding on to, so I hope they do produce it, and I hope that it's quality and not kind of cheapy. But I got to admit, that whole bag controversy, now that you reminded me of it, that seemed a little overblown. Like, come on, guys. Like, people just get pissed about everything.
2030 for Starfield 2, you're an optimistic guy there.
Well, I mean, we do have to get Elder Scrolls and a Fallout game apparently before then, so that probably is optimistic.
And they got to get the 2 or 3 re-releases and updates that come after it. So we're looking maybe 60 years for Starfield 2.
I mean, they're not Rockstar. Come on,
but awesome. What's the next bit of news we got?
Well, we got some disappointing news, man. And I, as a huge Mega Man fan and a huge Capcom fan, I own all the Mega Man collections on Xbox. We learned this week that a Mega Man Battle Network collection was coming out. Basically everywhere but Xbox, and what the hell, guys? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this one's like really weird to me because it's like, me being like a fighting game fan, I see fighting games usually not make it over. Like Strife didn't, DNF Duel didn't, that's I'm expecting. But like when you have 2 collections already on Xbox, and then it's like, oh, the third one we're just not going to do. It's like, are these games just not performing well on Xbox? Like, what is happening? What's causing this to just be like, oh yeah, that's a wasted space? It's not like Xbox is like, Luna or something. It's one of the big players.
Right.
It's weird.
They definitely have a market share for sure, and I don't know if they're not selling well. I think they were involved in Game Pass all the iterations at one time or another, and the collections are broken into parts. So you have the Mega Man Collection 1 and 2, and then the Mega Man X Collection 1 and 2. All of those are on Game Pass, so there is a kind of maybe a small hope to be optimistic that they are holding the announcement for Xbox as a Game Pass drop, but I think that's being maybe a little overly optimistic, and maybe this might be something that we have to wait on, and it just seems to be a really confusing decision to me, and it really, like, I don't know why we get snubbed like this. I think we're all kind of the Xbox family here, at least one foot in, and it feels like we should be better respected, but maybe I don't know. I can't explain it anymore, and I get frustrated with it.
My take is this. Xbox kind of spent the better part of 10 years there not getting a lot of Japanese games. So as a result, the people who got into Xbox maybe aren't necessarily into those sort of games. So when they do launch an Xbox, they're not garnering the sales that they are on other platforms. That's just been my guess, that the Megaman Collection maybe didn't do all that well, because it seems, from what I've heard, that if a game is not coming to Xbox, or if it does, Xbox has been involved in kind of paying for it to come to the platform, or having to almost ask for it to come here, just because they haven't done well. So, but we have to continue that pressure. Xbox has to continue that pressure, keep acquiring those games. They want to build that fan base back up over at Xbox. So in the interim, we kind of just have to suffer.
Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah, it's kind of hard though, because especially when you have stuff like this from publishers like Square Enix and Final Fantasy, and Capcom now and Mega Man, it's kind of hard to keep asking. It shouldn't be the consumers that have to give an olive branch out and be like, here's my money, okay, now bring more stuff so we can have this. It should be on the developers. It should be on the publishers that should extend that olive branch. Maybe it might not sell well, but maybe if you stop snubbing that community, maybe they might open their wallets a little bit more. You can't slap somebody in the face and expect them to be like, okay, I deserve that. It's like, no, give them what they want. Like, people want Mega Man. There's maybe it might be a niche kind of community. I don't think so. Mega Man's pretty amazing, but I mean, I just can't see why they would snub a community, and then just, yeah, it makes no sense to me.
Well, I was thinking like, because the Xbox Series X and the PS5, like I guess in terms of specs, they're pretty close to alike. So like, if you did want to port something over and you wanted to do like a quick job of it, you could just be like, all right, well, here's the Xbox build. If it sells, it sells. Do you think maybe like the fact that the Series S is in the ballpark at all is making developers go like, yeah, it's probably just not worth it, especially with the sales?
Well, I would think this S would help with sales, because I know a lot of people are trying to get the S as a good, nice, as a next gen system. Something small, something that's in their budget range. Very consumer friendly. So I think that would be a bigger draw, unless, like I said, I think it was Jay who said that it's maybe a Game Pass release later. But they've announced that, like Outriders, they did that with Outriders. They announced it like, hey, it's coming to Xbox, and then they're like, surprise, here it is. It's coming to Game Pass too.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
trying to think of a game that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with something like Battle Network, because you brought up the two development platforms, you got to think that it can run 4K 60 on the S, because it's Battle Network.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not some
they're
premium
Game Boy
graphics
Advance
game.
games, in case anybody doesn't remember them, and they're a lot of fun too. Like, it's definitely something I'd be interested in. But we've gotten Konami, the Castlevania Collection, including the Game Boy Advance titles. I believe they were. They've given us 2 Castlevania collections at this point, and Xbox has really been making a name for itself as a place to find these classic games. The games that are coming in collections that you can pick up in bulk. We actually got news this week that Atari is going to release this massive 50th anniversary collection, and this one is coming to Xbox. And most people are not very excited about this until they hear that it also includes like Jaguar games and Lynx. Like, this is everything Atari ever released back in the day. So if you're really into retro games, this one is actually worth kind of keeping an eye on. Like, they're going to throw everything at it. So all the way back to
Does
like
it
the 2600, all the way up to the Jaguar, basically. Like, all these games that they can.
does it have ET?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play it.
I guess this would probably be your chance to experience the gaming legend that is E.T. And I never watched the documentary, but I actually played the game. I'm old enough to barely remember the early days of Atari, and there's a reason that it's legendary for being the worst video game ever created, and it's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
Well,
didn't
I
they
think
find like? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that goes back to what I was saying earlier, where licensed games might have affected Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, we're still talking about ET being a terrible licensed game.
The angry video game nerd is legendary for running the series. I forget the developer for Nintendo. I think it was LJN. They're long bankrupt and gone, but they released every like Home Alone, like every mid '90s movie and late '80s movie became a video game for them, and they all sucked. They all sucked so bad, and it's nothing you ever want to experience. So you should avoid those games at all costs if you're a retro gamer.
The innovators of the video game movie cash grab. I was gonna say, didn't they find like thousands and thousands of like ET games in the desert buried somewhere?
Yep.
It was I was like that. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, they found like a ton of them just like randomly buried out somewhere in the desert.
They buried every single copy they had left.
Imagine
that
something being
bad.
so bad. You're like
Well, it was programmed by one guy, I think, and he
I,
just had to rush something out for the movie. So that's poor guy.
You make me want to go watch the documentary now. It's in my movie backlog, which is about as bad as my game backlog. So we'll see if I can find it in the collection.
Yeah. Overall, this I don't know. It looks bad. The optics. I don't know what they're doing. Like Capcom, I know they've been. I'm not going to say just because it's not console wars. I don't mean it, but they've been very pro Sony. They have a good close relationship with Sony. So like, but it doesn't make sense on why it would be coming out to every other platform but Xbox.
And
I can't see the logistics behind that or the thought process behind that.
no, and I'm not going to go as far to say that they're money traded hands or anything like that. But I feel like Capcom's been one of the more friendly Japanese major developers with Xbox, with the games that they put on Game Pass, and they've been pretty good about supporting and releasing their software here, including the other Mega Man games. So this one, that was completely kind of like a slap in the face. I mean, I don't know how to perceive it. I'm not mad at Capcom, but I'm also very puzzled. I'm like, hey, why don't you want to sell me this game? Here's my money. But all right, so I guess we'll just move on and hope it comes out later. I did want to kind of move on, and I kind of teased it a little bit earlier. In case anybody, this was kind of a surprise drop. We got House Flipper this week on Game Pass. I'm certainly in everybody's Game of the Year conversation, but jokes aside, it's actually kind of a fun and chill, relaxing game. I know some of you guys have experience with it. Would you give it a thumbs up? Is it worth a download?
Yeah, it's worth the 15 gigabyte space. I'm enjoying it. It gets a little repetitive having to fix electrical outlets, but it's actually teaching me some things, and I know it's realistic because I've changed like light fixtures, and I joke about electrical outlets. They work the same way, leads, grounds, and they have you plug them in accordingly in the correct order. It actually will teach you some things
My gosh, that's
about
really
how to work
cool.
on your house.
I never thought about that. And I know there's like a car mechanic simulator as well that I wanted to pick up just to kind of, I'm not super cool with cars. I can fix some things, but just to get a better working knowledge. So I didn't really think of this game as one of those. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun, not for fun for me, but it was also relaxing. It's just something, I mean, you get, like I said, I mean, I've been playing Naraka and COD and Fortnite and Fall Guys, where it's very competitive. This is just, it's like lawnmower simulator. You just kind of chill, have fun, do what you want in it. There's no real stress about it. It's fun, and like Mikey said, it does teach you some stuff. You can set the difficulty too, I think, on how interactive you want the repair to be. You could just do it to where it's like simple, just one click kind of thing or two clicks, but then you can set it to where it's you're putting stuff together and stuff like it. It does teach you some stuff. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I just changed the thermostat in my house to a smart thermostat, and it was an experience. So I feel like I could have a more fun time learning how to do this in a game. So I really enjoy that. That's pretty cool to hear. So let's see. After that, we were looking at Phil Spencer came out and he was talking about Bethesda, and he just said that it's not a crunch culture anymore, and maybe that's why they felt comfortable saying we need to chill on Starfield for a bit. I think I know we were disappointed by that news, but it's also kind of positive when you look at it in this light, that he's just like, you guys are artists. I think that needs to be something that gets overlooked. And art takes time. Art can't be rushed. Art is at the creator's pace. And I know that there's financials involved and there's things to consider when you're developing games, but Xbox with their games that they've been putting the money behind, they seem to be taking this approach now where they're like, you guys all just work on it at your pace. We want something that comes out. We want it to be finished. And I think maybe after what happened with Halo Infinite, where they might have been rushed, they kind of went back and said, well, that's not the way to go. So it looks like they're kind of embracing this approach of not pushing real hard on their devs, which is really cool.
Yeah, small correction. It was Matt Booty.
Thank you.
That's
a big difference. So thank you for the correction.
Because he also said something. He said some stuff like that I kind of felt, well, I get it, but I hope it doesn't get developers into this idea that they have to. But he said that developers could, if they wanted, stay longer. They could work more towards it. I just hope that doesn't pressure people into thinking they have to, and it doesn't promote this culture where, well, you haven't been crunching, so you're not going to get the promotion. Because I know how that can be in the corporate world. I've seen it firsthand, and I just hope it's not similar thing happening with them. I hope it is completely gone. There's no benefits in doing it, no negatives. Just do what you want, and we're going to make the game that we can. So I hope that all that he said is 100% true.
Yeah, and I've actually done crunch in the industry, and it's awful. You're there sometimes 16, 24 hours straight. And it's not like everyone's like, oh, you get to play video games. It's testing. It's not as glamorous as you think it would, because you're playing the same broken thing. You can spend 8 hours going through a single playthrough, doing a playthrough, and it crashes. Now you got to go back and repro that whole 8 hours over again to see if, like, what is this? Is this reoccurring? It's tedious, it's monotonous at times, and I'm really glad that if he really does stay true to his word, crunch culture for them is gone, because it ruins life. And people get divorced because of it. People don't get to see their kids. I didn't even get to see friends and family. When I knew I had a project, I was there 16 hours a day to 20 to like 18, maybe 19 hours a day. It was a bad time.
Yeah,
it wasn't as great as I thought it would be.
20 hours a day?
It's insane.
Sometimes, yeah.
Holy
I'd go
crap.
home. Yeah, this was back though, like in 2002, 2003. Still not acceptable, but it was back in a time where that was kind of the norm in the industry, especially when you're 2 or 3 months out from release. You got to make sure your pieces, you got to make sure you got aces in places.
It's definitely come to light in gaming, but it goes into other industries too. My father worked in a car factory, and he had the same type of thing where there were weeks where they had to kick into production, and he was working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and that's not sustainable. I'm so happy that this is becoming an issue, and that's really, we're steering away from that. So yeah, that's terrible, man. I'm so sorry.
No, it happens. I mean, there was a whole debacle too. I don't know if anybody remembers the whole EA spouse article letter that came out years ago. That I was there for that. That was on my team.
EA and a misstep? No way.
Yeah, EA spouse. I mean, the thing is though, I don't want to I don't want to like say it was bad, because they did take care of you though. Even though you were working like 16 to 20 hours, you had all your meals paid for, free sodas, free coffee, whatever you needed, you got. So it wasn't like, okay, here's here's some porridge, and you're like, can I have some more? And it's like, what? No, it wasn't. It wasn't like that. They were very caring. They did take care of you, but at the same cost though. It was especially when your contract, it was kind of hard to like be like, well, I need this night off.
Yeah, imagine trying to be a parent under those conditions and that kind of stuff, though. So that's why there needs to be a balance, and there needs to be people speaking up for workers. I mean, I do remember watching World of Warcraft testers, and you were talking about how monotonous it is, and that they had people that would spend 10-hour shifts, and all they would do was jump around the side of the map, like on the edge, just to make sure that you couldn't clip through into a zone that you weren't supposed to reach, and they would do that for 3 and 4 weeks at a time, and then they would go on to the next zone, and that's just one example of how boring and how just it's a work, it's a real job, it's just kind of crazy.
I don't know if any of you watch like Do You Know Gaming, but they were talking about like the people who were making Wind Waker, and there was like some employees who were there and then starting to see people wear coats, and they're like, "Isn't it still summer?" Like they were just in the office for that long, just around the clock, because they even had like beds apparently to where you could sleep, and they were just like, "Why are you wearing coats? Isn't it still the summer?" Like no idea of the outside world. It was like
that's
crunch.
that's
You know?
really wild, man. That's insane.
Yeah, Activision actually had it the worst. Their QA office, I guess, office, if you can see on the YouTube, quotation marks, heavy quotation marks, it was called the Dungeon over here in Santa Monica. And yeah, it was literally in the basement. And they didn't, like, at least with with EA, we all had our own individual desks. We had our own stations. We had our own capture stations. There, you pretty much had to go to like one station to upload. You had to share cubicles and space, like people would use the same machines. It was gross from what I've heard and seen. People showed me pictures and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the industry's gotten a lot better since 2002, I would say.
Well, what you just said makes me feel like maybe Activision QA didn't, because there's a reason they just unionized. So
Yep, and
True.
actually,
True.
the Communication Workers of America has officially backed Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which this is probably part of the reason why unions are sure to want to see a change of hands, because Activision working conditions are infamously not very great, especially when you're down low in the quality assurance tier or that kind of stuff. So. What a mess that whole studio turned into. They're one of gaming's oldest game studios, back to the early 80s. Pitfall, some legendary games throughout the years. And I'm as someone who loves a lot of their franchises, and especially the Blizzard games, I'm also happy, and I can't wait for this deal to go through and for a new direction for all of them. So we brought up a guest, a familiar guest to all of us here. Welcome to Destructive Gamer. How are you doing this week?
I have returned.
Excellent. So, give us a topic. What do you want to talk about?
Recently in the news of Xbox, we have had two pieces of news that I've read up on. One of them has been that fans are now begging Xbox to completely do away with the Games with Gold service. Have you heard about this?
Not recently, but this is actually a really good topic. What happens is we've been getting some pretty, I would say, lackluster offerings with the Games of Gold service, and this kind of gets into another discussion. Does like Xbox Gold even need to exist anymore now that we've moved on to the Game Pass model? So this is actually a pretty good conversation. I saw Mikey, you might have something here.
Oh, Games with Gold is so bad. It's been so bad. I'm not even going to pretend like there's any. I mean, I remember back Xbox One days, some stuff they've had out their ups and downs, but like Pool FX or Pool
yes.
Nation was a game like
For like 3 months.
Yeah,
it was
it was memed on the Xbox One subreddit.
Yeah,
right?
I won
Like,
Game of the Year for our poll because
Yes.
it was used so often. Honestly, if it means getting rid of Xbox Live, get rid of Games with Gold. If it means lowering the price, keeping Game Pass at the pay rate it is, and just making multiplayer free, get rid of it. Because it's a useless addition at this point. We get like Keflings for the 360 arcade as one of our games, and it almost hurts to look at the list when I do. I just ignore it at this point. That's how bad it's gotten for me.
I used to, every month I'd be like, oh, gotta download my free games, and now I barely check the list, man. Sometimes I haven't seen a game on there where I've just been really excited about in ages, so it's kind of in a sad state.
Yeah.
Would be how I would put it.
They did try to that's when they got just blasted, and rightfully so. I would say this is one of the big missteps that Microsoft or Xbox has made in this new generation. Is they're like, well, okay, I mean, we have Game Pass now. We're gonna raise the subscription cost of Live, and I think they got roasted for it to where they were like, hey, guess what? Sorry, we're gonna rewind that. Actually, it's gonna stay at $60. But I think that's what they were trying to do, is kind of just slowly phase it out. But they just went, I think, the wrong direction on it. I think it's coming, 100%. I think it's coming. Maybe with the Family Pass. Once the Family Pass Game Pass thing comes out, I think that's something that would be an easy segue to be like, all right, no excuse. Everybody can have Game Pass on your family. Here it is. No need for Live anymore. What were you gonna say, Grim?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I really think at this point, especially since they have like this sort of ecosystem with the whole Game Pass model, it seems kind of archaic to still have live, because it's like if you're on PC, you could just go with the $10 option and be clear, you're good. But if you buy an Xbox, it's like you probably should just get Ultimate. It's like, but I don't have a PC, or well, I mean, you probably have a phone, but like, let's just hypothetically say all I have is an Xbox. Oh, you should do the $15 option because it comes with live. Otherwise, you can't play like 90% of those games online. It's like it's
Uh,
just a weird, model. It's like, so I should probably just go get a PC and then just get the $10 option if I just want to play on one platform.
I do agree with that. Like, I think Xbox should, while, yeah, the games of gold has served its purpose for a long time, I think now it's just ran out of steam. And I think they should, instead of just keeping it around and letting people hate it and hate it more, they should just phase it into the Xbox Game Pass. Like, if you want to have games of gold, fine. Drink your tea and have also some crumpets on the side. If you weird analogy, but
Yeah,
Well,
Well, like, oh, go ahead.
hear me out. I think like we're kind of getting through this thing where like a lot of people feel like they should get rid of Xbox Live, the paid service, and just offer Game Pass Ultimate or whatever. And I think one of the reasons that maybe they're dragging their feet is because they're making a lot of money from those Xbox Live subscriptions. But if you get rid of that tier, don't those people have to come up to your next level subscription? Doesn't that you're going to lose some people for sure? But aren't you going to bring a bunch of people into the Game Pass, and aren't they going to see maybe how great of a service it is? Isn't that an incentive for them to step up their subscription level? And I'm done with Xbox. I think they need to simplify things, and I just want to see Game Pass. And maybe I'm being kind of naive to the financials and the big decision that this is, but I just it's so confusing, and the games of gold aren't really worth it. And let's move on. Let's step up.
Well, it's also a way. I mean, yeah, you would think it like incentivize people to jump to Game Pass, but you're also going to piss a lot of people off because now what was 60 is now 120, and I think that's the reason why Xbox has kind of dragged their feet, is they're trying to figure out a way on how it's for people to make that jump without
Yeah, but
without basically doubling their pay.
those are the people that
they're
all pay for the Madden and Call of Duty though, and those games are going to be on Game Pass. Don't tell them, so they're going to love it.
Yeah, I think that's where the family plan's going to come in. And like I said, they can make family plan cheap enough to where now it will even itself out to where they're still paying that extra 60, but now it's in that extra $10, $15 for, four other people kind of deal.
For sure.
I would
In my
like to see
opinion-
them. I was gonna say just do one of two things. One, get rid of games with gold, because at my work we used to have this thing where we earned points for reward stuff as well as our yearly bonus. Well, they're getting rid of the point system in order to put more into our bonuses. So same thing goes for games with gold. Get rid of games with gold. Use that money into Game Pass.
Perfect.
I'm sorry for the people that like the games with gold, but they haven't been worth it for a while. That's just my opinion, and I think a lot of people share that.
Perfect solution.
The other thing, so if they were to get rid of Xbox Live, let's say that totally makes Game Pass Ultimate, if you only own an Xbox, useless. Because I mean you get a couple extra perks, like you get to get a Paramount Plus for 30 days. But what I think they do is if they get rid of Xbox Live, they force all Game Pass subscriptions up to $15, and there's just one tier, and you get access to both, either Xbox and PC. Even if you just own Xbox, you'd have to pay the $15. That's it. And then just make multiplayer free. I think that's the only way they'll end up doing it. That's my guess.
I wonder if they're. I was just gonna say, I wonder if they're worried about doing that just because, if you remember, that's sort of how games for Windows Live was originally, where it was like that flat subscription rate, and you'd have
Ooh.
crossplay and it'd be synced with the PC, but then it was like a mess on PC. I mean, obviously, Xbox app is way further ahead, but I wonder if they're just a little worried about that because they're like, well, we've been down that road before and it was terrible.
It did not go well. I did play Age of Empires Online on Windows games for Windows Live, and that was the only game I played on there, and I never want to go back. So that was kind of a misstep for them. Destructive Gamer, go ahead. I know you're trying to get in here.
I think there's going to be one of three options that happens. One, Xbox Gold continues as it is and goes down a very, very steep hill. 2, it ends, and basically the whole Xbox Live service ends with it, and they create something new, possibly better. Who knows with Xbox? Or 3, they do something different with it. Like, instead, they remove the entirety of games with gold and they just make it Xbox Live again. And if you want to get all these games for free, go to Game Pass.
Yeah, those
Like,
are good options, and it was a really good conversation, and I think it's a topic that we'll be touching on again in the future. Some things are archaic. I've heard that word tossed around here tonight, and I feel like they need to catch up and streamline things. So thanks again for joining us. We do have to wrap up here pretty quick, so we're going to kick you back down. We hope you can come up again, Gamer, and catch up with us again.
Yep. Right, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, bud. Good to see you again.
Yep. Right, everyone. Hope you have an amazing rest of talk, and hopefully we get some better news to talk about next time.
Oh, it's midsummer. Yeah, that's a tall ask, but we might get a juicy tidbit or two, kind of like the Starfield.
Hopefully Starfield actually gets announced to have an earlier release date than thought.
Oh,
hopefully. Well, thanks, bud. Let's go on to
wouldn't it be? It would be hilarious if they're like, oh no, we've changed our mind. We're back to the original release date. We're good now.
Yeah,
We're good.
JK. Yeah, usually, I mean, after E3, news cycles are pretty slow.
This is
not pretty slow,
worst
but
time.
yeah, I mean, if you're expecting like major things to like come out, I mean, unless it's like a leak or something, I don't think, E3 is the big moment where everybody, unless, I mean, there was a bunch of people that were missing from E3, I guess I should say, with quotations. It wasn't really an E3.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of actually parody videos. I think Girlfriend Reviews, I don't know if you guys watched that, but she went to E3 and it wasn't happening. It was kind of funny, but anyways, E3 is gone, but we'll be back next year, maybe. They're going to try, so sorry, Jeff, if that happens. I know that we have to wrap up kind of quickly tonight. We do have some other obligations with some of our hosts, so I'm just going to kind of roll through the news here. The Halo Infinite co-op beta was announced. I really don't have any more details on that. I know you can sign up right now. I know Mikey has been waiting to play this. Did you by chance see that? Or are you going to try the beta, or are you just going to wait?
I'm waiting for the full experience.
Good
I'm not
deal.
going to beta this thing and then we have to start over.
No, that's bad. If you've waited this long, like why bother at this point? So I totally understand that. Persona 5 was confirmed that we're going to get all the downloadable content on Xbox and Windows if you play it on PC. So that was kind of cool too. We're getting all of those games. I've never played them. I'm excited to check them out. It's nice to know that we haven't had them, and this is the Japanese studios throwing us a bone. Maybe we're finally going to be able to play these games. So go for it.
To segue, the predictions we did, that was actually one of the like highest no answers that we had, that it wasn't going to get announced.
Oh, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I thought it. I heard rumblings, and I've heard it from a few people inside, but I was actually surprised that actually Xbox was able to pull it off.
Also, side note, if you're interested in having the original experience, don't use the DLC.
I've read this, yeah.
Because it makes the game easy. If you want easy mode, use the DLC. If you don't use the DLC.
Yeah, I'm not going
Harsh
to.
warning.
They said it almost makes it trivial. Like some of the boss fights are super easy with the old Personas. So.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure like what the DLC did. I have it for PS4, but I've never really played it. I played it a few times, but I never really got into the DLC or anything like that.
The way I understand it is the DLC is older Persona characters from like 1, 2, and 3 or something along those lines, and they are not super OP, but pretty OP. It's like the game on easy mode, and I've seen multiple people warn that if you want to have the real experience that people rave about, don't do that the first time. Play as one of the included characters, and then those characters are meant for a replay. So if you love it, then you go back through and you try it and maybe play it in the easier mode, if you will. So
that makes sense.
I just wanted to add real quick that since you mentioned beta, apparently the Multiverses, the Warner Brothers Smash game,
I do know
their beta is going to be permanent, like the permanent release. So talking about like transferring progress and things like that, I just thought about that because that comes out this month. So maybe we'll still be able to keep whatever we do in that beta over in the main game. Like maybe it's like a Paladins thing.
You know, that game
That
actually,
would be good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that game, surprisingly, because that's not my genre, man. That's not something I usually get down with. So I'm excited to see the expanded character roster, and that game has a lot of potential for me. I don't know who I'm going to main, but we'll have to get into it a little bit more. But what a stable of characters.
I think that would go a long way on keeping the user base that's already playing that game, because I know a lot of people would be like, oh, well, this sucks, I'm not going to replay, and everything I've earned is now going to go away. It seems like they've already created a meta for the beta. I'm not trying to rhyme or anything, but it seems like they've already created
this is the jam of the summer. Just
that.
keep going. Got a meta for
right?
the beta, and I'm done.
But yeah, it makes sense. I would hope they would at least stick by the community and keep the progress, especially if it's going to be the permanent.
Yeah, and there's going to be plenty to earn in that game. I see characters coming all the time, and the mechanics felt pretty good to me. I'm definitely not an expert on this. I know Ivan is much more versed in these games, but he seems to enjoy it, so I can feel good enjoying it too. So, what else did we get this week? Cuphead, the expansion dropped. I did not download it. I thought it was going to be Game Pass included, but I don't believe it is. Did you guys pick it up? Anybody a Cuphead fan?
Yeah, because when I saw it in the news release, I didn't know it was releasing today. But the list of links you sent, I bought it.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's a game I 100%ed back in the day.
Oh,
so
you are a machine, man.
Only recently. I didn't used to be this way. But I've been reinvigorated into Xbox. Especially with PC Game Pass, it's been killing me, man.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to jump back into the delicious last course because I love the first game. I guess this isn't the second game, it's DLC, but it's such a beautiful game, and it's so fun to finally just get something right and it clicks.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the original. Definitely did not 100% of that game kicked my ass, but I'm working my way there, so I think I'm gonna end up picking up the DLC too, just because it's such a wonderful game, unique, and the style is kind of unmatched, and the mechanics are really true. Like it's a pure game. It reminds me of Hollow Knight to some extent, and you know, it's a little different, but also still just pure. It's one of those games I described as pure. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually went to the release party for it in LA, and it was insanely fun. Like it was hard.
Change your name to Hollywood.
I've never seen so many people like I thought the controllers were gonna break, because I mean people were just getting smoked, like everyone that was invited. But it was fun though. Everybody was having fun. Like it's a beautiful game too. That art style classic stuff like
Gorgeous.
That was actually pretty cool. Yeah, I would say you're spot on with your, it's like one of those wholesome kind of fun games.
Yep. And just everything. The mechanics is when I say that, I just mean that the mechanics are just so tight that you never feel like you got cheated. You die a lot and it's frustrating, but you're like, I deserve that. Like I walked right into that. It's not like you're just like, oh, this game cheats, and you throw the controller across the room. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it also has those quick resets too. So like people are just ready to get right back in. It's like, oh, I know where I messed up. I could do this, and like
exactly.
Very low downtime. It helps a lot.
Yep, you take that moment where you walked right into it and you're like, not going to do that again, and then you just kind of progress, and that's a very great mechanic. So let's see. Moving on, we also got Skull and Bones. It's a naval combat action game. This is one of those games that we kind of get tidbits on back and forth, and it's not going to have an Xbox One version. It's going to be new gen only, so basically the only thing to take away from this is that we're starting to see games that are giving up on the old generation, and I don't blame developers for holding on as long as they have. The upgrade rate has been really slow, but thank God, because it's so time to dump the Xbox One, unless you're releasing the indie games, where those will always have a place on the One. But let's start pushing this hardware, right?
I wonder how that's going to turn out, because I remember being at E3 when they announced it, so it's been a while.
Same.
And it was supposed to come out on Xbox One. Is it going to look pretty? Poor man's Sea of Thieves. Has it been too long in development? I have a lot of questions about it.
Yes to all those, I think. I don't know, man. It's been like every 3 months we just get this like little nibble about it, and that's not the kind of news cycle that gives me a lot of hope. that a game is
Yeah.
like needs to be owned.
It was supposed to be, yeah. It was marketed, or not marketed, but the whole console warrior people were like, it's going to be the Sea of Thieves killer, Sea of Thieves killer, and it just never came out.
I missed that. I wish I could have gotten in on some of that.
yeah. They're like, it's gonna destroy Sea of Thieves, because I think Sea of
No.
Thieves just released or something like that at the time that it was. That's how long ago it was announced.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it still hasn't came out. But I mean, maybe rightfully so. They saw what Sea of Thieves was doing, realized, okay, maybe we want to go away from that. Who knows? I mean, but I'm excited for it. I mean, I love Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So, and that amazing naval combat.
I'd like myself some
I
pirate
liked.
games. Yeah, like going back to even Sid Meier's, like, that's a classic game of all time. So, there was a 360 game called Age of Booty, also fun. I think that's about it. I mean, I've run through the news here. 13, if you have bought that already, it's getting a huge update. We reworked art style, improved AI, and people seem pretty excited about this, but people really want a sequel to that game too, and they're just like, come on, move on, and let's get to the new editions. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. That's going to close it out for the news. Did you guys have any last statements or closing words this week?
If I find more Starfield links, I'll bring them here.
You're going to be our guy?
Following everything on that game.
Yeah, all right. I'm down. You're assigned. You can fill me in because I missed all that stuff this week. I can't believe it. Kevin, how about you? How you doing? What are you going to be playing this week?
Yeah, just kind of be hanging out, more probably Naraka, more Fall Guys. I don't know, just playing around. There was some news earlier. We won't get into it or get that deep into it. Just more of a general statement of just, hey guys, developers, they're people too. Be nice, be kind, be caring.
I've had an awful week with harassment and just kind of stalkerish things, and I'm not going to get that deep into it. I do this stuff for enjoyment. I know you guys all do too. I know a lot of our users I kind of wonder, like, well, why do you become a mod of a community? And it's, because I love Xbox, and I've been on Reddit for years and years, and this is my way of kind of giving back to something that's given me so much enjoyment. And some people are just unhinged out there, and it's kind of rough to deal with. So I feel for developers, and I never thought I'd experience that stuff being on Reddit, man. But I've had some of it come my way too, and it's just so uncalled for, and just such a weird thing to me.
Yeah, and just seeing what's come out on Twitter and stuff like that too with the other stuff. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows what we're kind of talking about. Just they're human beings, they're people. A game really isn't worth that much to harass and ruin somebody else's life over it. I mean, come on. I mean, sending explicit pictures of yourselves because a game's not, you wanted a game to come out at a certain day or be announced. Like, come on guys, be better than that. We're here to have fun, we're here to game. So if you guys are hearing this, my main message is, remember the human, be kind. We're here to have fun and enjoy ourselves.
And let me just add on to that. This is I love this community. This is one of the better communities and on the internet, as far as I'm concerned. It's a bunch of people that have come together, and our comments, our users are mostly positive. When they have disagreements, it doesn't go down the path that we see go on Twitter, where it suddenly becomes personal and your mom's involved and all that stuff. So it's good to see that we have a user base that knows how to maturely discuss these things and not get into all that craziness.
This is definitely one of the best communities I've been a part of. I wasn't saying this is you guys, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean that. If anything, but you guys are a pretty awesome, great community. I just mean overall gaming. Yeah, overall gaming as a whole. Yeah, it just we should do better and be better as gamers.
We're all
that goes down the window in the Xbox community if Starfield comes out at 30 FPS only.
Well, then we'll all have our pitchforks. But I'm kidding. Even then, I will, I'll be like, you guys messed up, but you're people, so.
At least Starfield can't get worse than E.T. the game, so we have that, all right? That's the benchmark right
there's
there.
a bar that they cannot drop below.
I think, that bar, wherever that is, that's way low. That's definitely in the negative territory, so.
That's the worst space game ever.
0.0. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for jumping in this week. I know that the news has been slow, and we tried to make the best of it. Hopefully, if you listen to this, you found some of it entertaining, and we'd love to hear some more of your opinions. We did get the Destructive Gamer back up today. In the future, we'll always bring you guys up if you want to join in on the conversation, too. So, That's it for me. I'm back to Rogue Legacy. Mikey, don't go too crazy over there. It's a new month. You can start out chill, man. You don't got to get 10,000 gamer score this week.
I'm already at 7,000.
This guy, man, it's impossible.
I
was actually
saved
saying-
some of those cheap games.
Grim, what are you playing? I think we
Yeah.
skipped over Grim.
Great, do it.
I might get into some of those cheap games, try and catch up to Mikey, because the head start's already there. Outside of that, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to Multiverses this month, because I really did have fun with the alpha, but it was gone too soon. So that's what and also I'm looking forward to Xenoblade. Couldn't get the collector's edition, but
Oh,
I
I
don't
forgot
think
about
many
that.
people did.
Yeah, that's a good one to look out for. So there's still games out there, guys. I know that we're in summer and it's a drought, and the big quadruple A titles are kind of far and few between, but definitely something for everybody if you look deep enough. So everybody have a great week, and we'll catch you next week about the same time. See ya.
Adios.
See ya.
Adios, guys. Happy gaming.